The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. In the midst of a host of immediate economic crises, especially an almost 10% unemployment rate and rising underemployment, it can be tempting to forget about the importance of economic development that has a horizon of years, not months. We live and work in a dynamic global economy. Technology innovations can sweep away entire job categories, even entire industries. Globalization allows jobs to be moved offshore. Railing against these forces, complaining about the decline of old-style manufacturing is pointless. In the midst of all the churning, the only sensible response is to encourage the development of businesses that will themselves define the future. Ohio's Third Frontier program was launched in 2002 under the administration of Governor Bob Taft with a voter-approved initial 10-year $1.6 billion investment. The goal is to expand the state's technological strengths and to clear the obstacles to bringing innovations to the market. Targeted areas of investment include advanced and alternative energy, biomedical research, advanced materials, electronic instrument controls, and advanced propulsion. Over the course of its first 7 years, an independent review by SRI International released in September found that thus far the program had invested $681 million in the state. That investment has generated $6.6 billion of economic activity, 41,300 jobs, and $2.4 billion in employee wages and benefits. Last week, the governor, the Democratic House of Representatives, and the Republican-controlled Senate hammered out an agreement to ask voters this November to renew the program at a $700 million level. Pardon me. As we approach the election this fall, we will look at the political arguments. But this morning, I have invited two people who are already deeply involved to discuss how the program currently operates. I am joined this morning by Bob Coy, president of CincyTech, a public-private organization founded in 2007 through a $15 million grant from the Ohio Third Frontier program and $7.5 million from local organizations. CincyTech is designed to strengthen Southwest Ohio's regional economy by driving financial capital into high-potential technology companies to accelerate their growth. And Jim Burns, the president and CEO of AssureRx, a personalized medicine company, medical company that is dedicated to helping physicians determine the right drug and the right dose for each patient based on their genetic background. Whatever that exactly means, Jim. I want to clear one thing up, make it clear that CincyTech and Bob Coy, you're in partnership with the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber. I also work for the chamber, so I just want to clear that we do have a connection, but gee, I hardly ever see you. Your offices aren't with ours. So anyway, welcome to Newsmakers.
Thank you.
Bob, your view of how the Third Frontier effort is working. I mean, I gave all those numbers, but of course against that is the realization that Ohio's lost 300,000 jobs in this downturn. So how would you evaluate how effective this has really been?
Well, I think I would evaluate it this way. The Third Frontier is a long-term program. We're in a deep recession right now and we've lost a lot of jobs. The goal of the Third Frontier isn't to create jobs immediately through the construction of roads or other programs like that, which is what a short-term stimulus is designed to do. The Third Frontier is really designed to help Ohio transition away from dependence on industries that are either mature or that are declining and therefore aren't creating many jobs. So the Ohio Third Frontier is trying to foster the development of new high-growth industries that can create jobs for our future, and most of those industries are going to be based upon technology, information technology, biotechnology, et cetera.
Jim, tell us a little bit about your company. What exactly are you doing?
Okay, well, as you started out talking about, we are a personalized medicine company that basically takes advanced genetic analysis, combines it with sophisticated software algorithms, and allows physicians to determine the genetic variability on a patient-by-patient basis of their ability to metabolize certain drugs. So we're at the point now where actually physicians can select drugs and select the doses that fit individual patients' metabolism.
So just is your background? Are you a scientist? Are you a biologist? What's your background?
I'm a biologist and biochemist and a finance guy, all combined.
And this isn't your first experience with starting up new businesses, right?
I've been involved in the startup of probably 20 to 25 businesses.
Wow.
Over a 35-year career.
So right now, your business, what stage is it at? I mean, are you up and running? Are you still in the development stage? How many people do you employ?
Well, we're still considered a development stage company, but our first product called CincyTech was just launched last month. So this is not research level, this is a commercial stage product at this point in time. The company has 10 employees at the present time. We are forecasting in our business plan that we will have 80 employees over the next 3 to 4 years. And these are obviously all very high paying jobs, and the average wage is somewhere in the $80,000 to $90,000 range.
Wow. And what has been the role with the Third Frontier in helping Jim's company, and how does the Third Frontier fit into this whole picture of developing these kinds of companies?
Well, it's really interesting, I think, how it fits in. It's multifaceted. First, this technology that AssureRx is based on was developed at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and the Mayo Clinic. One of our objectives at CincyTech is to take the research that's being developed at our research institution and commercialize it. This is a great example of that. The technology that was developed at Children's was developed at their computational medicine center, which received a $27 million grant from the Ohio Third Frontier. It's an example of how the Third Frontier is trying to build up the research base of the institutions.
And we had Jim Anderson on here about a month ago talking about how important research is at Children's these days.
So it's very important. So there's two ways. The third way is you have to get that research out into the marketplace. And in this case, we did it through a startup company. So what do you need to do that? Well, you need capital. We have a pre-seed fund of $10.4 million that is supported by the Third Frontier and the private sector here that made an investment in his company. There are other funds in the region that are also based upon the Third Frontier that made an investment in his company. Then we worked to help form a board of directors for this company with world-class people, and actually that board recruited Jim then to run the company.
So is this a company, or maybe it's you, I'm not sure, since you were recruited, that because of the Ohio Third Frontier program, that's why it's in Ohio? Could this is just have easily relocated someplace else, but it's in Ohio because of the Third Frontier money? Is that really
well,
the point?
Most biotech and biomedical companies end up forming and growing close to academic medical centers. So there's a continual relationship. And the technology that came out of Cincinnati Children's and Mayo together to form this company is basically a transformative technology. So it's not only going to, it could not only transform the area here and the relationship with Cincinnati Children's, but it could actually transform medicine. And our company is particularly focused on psychiatric disorders, where there's basically the lifetime prevalence of psychiatric disorders is about 1 in 4. And only about a third of patients, when they take antidepressants or antipsychotics, actually get helped in the beginning. The drugs are very toxic, so there's all kinds of basically adverse drug reactions. So the genetics now that has come out and the computational technology that's come out of Cincinnati Children's is going to help dramatically to reduce those adverse drug reactions and get patients the drugs they need right from the beginning.
That is really interesting. I didn't realize. You and I have never met before, but my son has worked as a mental health social worker, but now a lawyer who specializes in mental health, and hearing him describe the process by which people doctors try to find the right prescription, and it's difficult, it's frustrating for everybody. That's amazing.
It's trial and error medicine right now, and this is the first technology that can actually help psychiatrists to provide basically evidence-based support for their prescribing. So it's very exciting.
One thing I want to make clear here, Bob, and you've mentioned it over and over again, it's not just Third Frontier money. There has to be other money too. Other investors are involved in this. This is expensive to get these kinds of experimental companies up and going, right?
Yeah, in fact, Jim shared something with me earlier about the source of his capital.
Well, $6 million has gone into the company so far to get it to the stage where we can launch our first product. Of that, it's all come basically from seed stage venture funds, from angel funds in the state, so individuals and CincyTech, the group in Columbus, up in Cleveland. So it's been a statewide support on it. Private money, public money, about a third of the money has come through basically Third Frontier. So we wouldn't be where we are right now or have the opportunity to basically get to where we think we can go with this without having that strong public-private support for the program. It's just no question in my mind.
And if there wasn't the Third Frontier component to this, would there be enough money to get these sorts of companies going? I mean, how essential is the Third Frontier?
I think it's very essential. Nationally, the venture capital industry has been moving to what are known as the later stages of a startup business's development.
They don't want to take the risk.
They don't want to take the early stage risk. So unless you're on one of the coasts, you're probably going to be in a state that is supporting seed stage investing in some way, because otherwise it won't happen. And the companies like Jim's would still get started, but they'd have to go to some other part of the country.
They'd be someplace else.
Right.
And who are Ohio's competitors? Who are the states that are investing in this, as opposed to those who, I'm sure there's some states who just haven't put this together yet?
Well, I think probably the closest state that's a very strong competitor in this area is Pennsylvania, which has been doing this for over 25 years. Most states in the Midwest, Michigan's been a major player, Illinois, Wisconsin.
So the bottom line is, you would have alternatives. This kind of company would have alternatives.
Would have alternatives, but you'd have to relocate.
You'd have to relocate.
In fact, something about AssureRx that happened before Jim got there. This company was started 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And 3 years ago, they were trying to raise capital. And the person leading the company at the time went to San Francisco and called on venture funds there and received a term sheet from one of the funds for investment, provided that the company relocate to San Francisco. And it were the local investors who said, we can't let that happen, and kept it here.
Yeah. What about other companies that you've been involved with? AssureRx is the one that we're sort of highlighting today, but there are other ones that you're really excited about that you really think Third Frontier has been critical with here?
Oh, man, yes. We have currently 12 and soon 13 companies in our portfolio. One of them is a therapeutics company called Akebia, which licensed technology out of Procter & Gamble Pharmaceutical. They're developing a drug that would address peripheral artery disease and anemia. We have many IT companies, a company called ThinkVine, which is also doing quite well. It's in the marketing analytics space, which is also a real strength of our region, marketing and analytics. So we have a really nice mix of companies in the portfolio.
Is this also a case where, besides all the funds that are necessary, you need the right kind of talent? Either because they're already here or because you have to be able to attract them and retain them. Is that a real challenge here?
It's my experience since I've been here is no.
We've got it.
We've got it. And what's really surprised me is my company requires advanced people, really advanced in software as well as in genetics. Both sets of talents are here. It hasn't been a problem recruiting. And the people that are associated with CincyTech and other venture groups have people in residence and executives that can further help out the company. So it provides significant leverage for our own people inside. It's funding and people.
Yeah, it is absolutely always funding and people, and it's really exciting. So when I heard the agreement in Columbus this past week on going back to the voters, it seemed to me the right time to focus on what we've accomplished. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for the work you're doing, and keep it up, and we'll have you back. And we'll see how things go.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
And stay tuned after the break, a discussion about the upcoming Art Sampler Weekend and the kickoff for the Fine Arts Fund Drive. All of what has happened in Haiti. People have really responded to the needs in Haiti. That's something to realize, that maybe the arts and culture world gets impacted is most vulnerable in that,
Sure.
and it adds something else that we really have to think about as we move into this campaign.
It definitely does, but what we have experienced in this community in prior years with other tragedies that have happened across the world and across our nation is that folks in this community dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
They'll continue to support the things that are very important in their lives that they experience on an annual, regular basis, but then they will dig a little deeper for these things that come up. I mean, I think everyone has given to Haiti. I mean, it's everywhere, and I hope that everyone has participated in that drive because they really need the funds out there. But I think people want to see that these arts and cultural organizations are fully supported here in their communities as well.
And can just what about our kickoff? I just wanted to give you a little tease. Say, you know, we do have Sampler Weekend is a very important part of the beginning of our campaign, but we'll actually be doing some things that we can't tell you about now, but you should watch out for during the week right before the kickoff. So we'll be celebrating the way that the arts make our community vibrant, as we've been discussing this morning, with some surprises.
Okay, so all surprises. I'm open to letting you tip off some of those surprises, but the week ahead.
The week ahead, and if you follow us on Twitter, which is Sharing Joy is the Twitter name to follow there, you'll get a few clues as we get closer.
You know, one thing I do want to stress here, people sometimes who don't work in these sorts of organizations may not realize that no matter how good the ticket sales are, for the symphony or for the art museum or for whatever, that doesn't meet the needs to run these kinds of organizations.
No, in fact, ticket sales are usually about 30 to 70% of an organization's revenue, operating income. So they really do rely on the support of the Fine Arts Fund campaign, and the money we give them is unrestricted operating support dollars that really helps them.
Which is the hardest kind of money for an organization to raise. So.
And it's a unique thing about this city. You pointed it out earlier that we have an unbelievable array of events, dance, theater, music, all kinds of things in this community. And it is in part because we have the Fine Arts Fund, the annual community campaign, and all of the thousands of donors that make that possible in this community.
One of the strongest community campaigns for the arts in
the
any place in the United
biggest,
States.
the oldest and biggest.
I'm always cautious about first, biggest, best. But anyway, now there's a huge schedule for this. No way to show it on air, but if you want to take a look at the schedule for the Arts Sampler Weekend and find out more about the Fine Arts Fund, you can go to fineartsfund.org, and the Sampler Weekend is February 20th and 21st. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Let's have fun.
Let's have fun, absolutely.
Thank you for making Newsmakers part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women shaping our community for the future. Have a good week.